Hey everyone, in this video, you'll learn how to use the Parkour and Climbing AI asset to create AI characters in your game that can traverse the environment using parkour and climbing actions. We'll also look at how you can integrate the system with your own systems. So I'll be showing an example of that by integrating the asset with a simple combat system. So let's start the video. So here we have a sample scene with a player parkour character. So if I run this scene, the player should be able to perform parkour and climbing actions. We have already made a video that covers how to set up a player character that can perform parkour and climbing actions. So now let's look at how to set up an AI character that can perform parkour and climbing actions by using the parkour and climbing AI asset. So I have already installed the parkour and climbing AI asset. So once you install it from the asset store, you'll see this parkour and climbing AI folder. And if you go to the tools menu, you'll also see the Parkour AI menu. All right. So the first step to set up Parkour AI characters is to create a Navmesh surface. So for that, you can go to Parkour AI and click on Setup Navmesh Surface. All right. So this will create a game object with a Navmesh Surface Baker. So Navmesh Surface Baker is an extension of the Navmesh Surface component that comes with the Unity's AI system by default. So it's an extension, and in Navmesh Surface Baker, we have some additional settings for parkour. All right, so we don't need the Navmesh Surface. We just need the Navmesh Surface Baker. And by the way, the agent settings that you see over here might be different when you add a Navmesh Surface Baker for the first time. So you can just use the default value for most of the settings, but one setting that we recommend you to change is the radius of the agent. All right. So by default, the radius of the agent will be a high value like 0.5. But for parkour games, it's better to use an agent with much smaller radius. Only then our AI character will be able to walk on narrow ledges. Okay. So to change the radius, you can click on this drop down of agent type and then open agent settings. And then you can change the radius from here. All right. So once you add the Navmesh Surface Baker, you can go ahead and click on Bake, and this will create the Navmesh for us. Okay, so an Navmesh is something that Unity use to move AI characters in the scene. So basically it defines all the areas in the scene in which the AI can move. Okay, and along with the Navmesh, it also creates links like this. So this link is saying that the player can jump from here to here, right? So this is how Unity moves the AI character to the scene. So in our case, we also want the AI characters to be able to climb up or jump up onto this obstacle by using parkour actions, right? So for that, we have to do some modifications to the off mesh link. So for that, we can go to Tools, Parkour AI, and select Create off mesh link. So this will modify the off mesh links so that we can also perform parkour actions. So creating that will also create a game object over here called Navmesh link. So we'll be using that later to create custom links that Unity doesn't generate automatically. Okay, so now we can try adding a Parkour AI character, and the character should be able to use the Navmesh to perform parkour actions. So to add Parkour AI character, I'll select the Create Parkour AI character, and here we have to select a model. It can be any FBX humanoid model. So we have sample model in here. So I'll just choose this NPC, and We can also specify the follow target over here, or we can leave it empty and configure it later from the inspector. I'll just set the follow target as player. You can just assign it like this if it's not already assigned. And then I'll click on the create Parkour AI button, and this should create a AI character for us. All right. So now if we test the game, the character should come towards us. All right. So yeah, I can see that the character is following the player, and while following the player, he's also performing parkour actions and stuff, right? But one thing I would like to improve here is the AI character could have done a predictive jump, just like a player, right? So if I jump to this point, you can see that the AI character is not directly jumping to the other obstacle. Instead, he's jumping down and then performing a parkour action to climb up. So we can easily fix this and make him jump directly. So the reason why the AI is not jumping from one obstacle to another is because we don't have a Navmesh link from this Navmesh to this Navmesh, right? We only have it to the Navmesh that's below. That's why the AI character is jumping down and then climbing up. But that doesn't look good. So to fix that, we just have to turn on the dynamic predictive jump from the AI controller script of the AI character. So we just have to turn this on. And what this will do is, once this is enabled, the AI character will try to perform predictive jump to a point in Navmesh that is close to the player. Okay, so it does dynamic predictive jumps. So let's try to test it. Okay, so now you can see that the AI character is performing predictive jumps and he's jumping directly to the obstacle instead of going down and coming up, right? We'll see AI character. All right, so that is working fine. But the thing about the dynamic predictive jump is that it'll only work if there is a direct path between the AI character and the player. Okay, so let's take a case where the dynamic predictive jump won't work. So we have some obstacles in the air like this. So just to show you a case where the dynamic predictive jump won't work, I'll just put my player on top of one of these tiles. I'll put him on this tile and I'll put my AI character over here. All right. So now the dynamic predictive jump won't work because the AI character will try to perform a predictive jump in this direction, but it has to first go through these obstacles to reach here, right? So if I play the game, you can see that the predictive jumps are not working, right? So that is because the AI character is trying to jump towards the player and not towards this platform. Okay, so in such cases, the dynamic predictive jump won't work, and we'll have to create the Navish links manually. Okay, but the good thing is we have a tool with which you can easily create Navish links. So just click on the link button in the scene, and this will take you to an Navish link editor. And from here, you can click on the start button to start creating Navish links. And then to create an Navish link, you just have to click and drag. Okay, so click and drag, and I'll place the other point on this platform. Okay, so this will create an Navish link between these 2 points. And by the way, once I create it, you can see that both points are green. So that means this Navmesh link is okay. But if I place it somewhere above like this, it'll become red, right? That's because we're not able to find a Navmesh close to this point. Okay, so this point has to be close to the Navmesh to which we want to jump. Okay, so creating a Navmesh is pretty easy like this. So we can just create another link here. So I'll just click and drag and create it like this. Okay, and we also need a link from here to here. Okay, and by the way, if you want the link to be wider, you can just click on this and drag it like this. Okay, so this will be useful for wider obstacles like this, right? You can click here and create a link and then make the Navish link wider so that the player will be able to perform the jump from all these areas. All right, but it's not necessary to have a Navish link here. In this case, the player will automatically perform predictive jumps. Okay, so let's go back to the platforms. All right, and let's create links between all these platforms. All right, so I'll just keep on clicking and dragging and I'll create the links. Okay, and here we don't need a link because Unity has automatically generated an app mesh link here. So what Unity does is if the two nav meshes are at the same height, then Unity will automatically create the off mesh links. Otherwise, we'll have to create it manually. Okay, so now since we have this nav mesh links, our player character should be able to jump and reach our player, right? And we can keep moving and the AI character should follow us. Okay, so that is how you set up predictive jumps for platforms like these, where the dynamic predictive jump won't work. So we have the parkour actions and predictive jump working. So next, we want our AI characters to perform climbing actions, right? So for climbing, we can't place nav meshes in these ledges, right? So we are using our own pathfinding algorithm for performing the climbs since we can't have nav mesh on these ledges. So here, all you have to do is you have to create a nav mesh link from the start of this nav mesh, the point in which the character enters the climb, and the end of this nav mesh, the point in which the character exits the climb, right? So I'll click on link and I'll click on start to start creating a nav mesh link, and then I'll create a link from here to here. Okay, and if we create a link like this, then the player will just jump from this point to this point, right? We don't want that. So what we have to do is we have to change the area type from jump to climbable. Okay, so we have lots of area types. Walkable, not walkable, and jump are default area types created by Unity. Climbable is something that we create when the Parkour AI asset is installed. Alright, so this is how you set up climbing. And one thing you have to note here is the endpoint should be close to this ledge, right? So once you bring it close, the ledge from which the player mounts becomes red, right? So in this link, this blue ledge is the starting ledge and this red ledge is the ending ledge, right? So we use colliders to detect starting and ending ledge. But in some cases, you might want to assign this manually. So in that case, you can turn on manual ledge and pick the starting ledge and ending ledge manually like this. Okay. So if I want the ending ledge to be something else, I can click on that. And now we'll use this ledge as ending ledge, right? But we don't want that. So let me change it back to this ledge. Okay. So this is how we set up climbing. So let's also create a link from here to here. All right. So in this case, the starting and the ending glitch are selected correctly by the program, right? So next we have to create a connection from here to here because the player should be able to climb through this and reach here, right? So we can create a Navmesh link from here to here. All right. So in this case, the starting ledge is not selected correctly, right? The starting ledge is the first ledge of the climbing network to which the character should jump to while he's starting to perform a climb. So this is supposed to be the starting ledge, not the one below. But since it's far away from our navmesh, the program won't be able to detect it automatically, right? So in this case, we have to select the ledge manually. So I'll click on manual ledge and I'll pick the start ledge and select this. Okay. You can also directly assign it to this field if you want. So this is how we set up climbing. So now the AI character should be able to climb and follow the player. So let me bring the AI character down and see if it can climb and follow the player. Okay, I'll just place it over here. And once you run the game, if I go to the scene view, you can see that the AI character is climbing through these climb points to reach the player. Okay, so yeah, that is working fine. So now the AI character will follow the player even while we are climbing. Okay, and by the way, the AI character doesn't have to always follow the player. You have different follow options here. So for example, if I want to follow a normal game object, I can also do that. So let me just create a cube over here and I'll just place it somewhere over here and I'll turn off the mesh renderer and collider and I'll set that as a target of the Parkour AI. Okay, so follow player has some additional options. That's why we have it as a separate type. Okay, so now if I run the game, the Parkour AI should run towards our cube. Okay, so if you want, you can programmatically change the value of the target from your code to move the player towards different positions. And if you want to control it from the code, all you have to do is just call the set destination function of the Rapish agent like you do for any normal AI character in Unity. And our Parkour system will make sure that the AI will try to reach the destination by traversing the environment using Parkour and climbing actions. Okay, so you have lots of other options here. You could make the AI character follow a set of waypoints if you want some kind of a patrolling behavior. And we have other options too. The project will come with a demo scene with all these options. So be sure to play with it and understand how everything works. Okay, And few other important settings here. In the Parkour AI script, you can change things like the forward jump speed, max jump height, and all that to control how much the Parkour AI can jump. I'm just covering the important settings here. You can check out the documentation to get a detailed description about all settings. All right. So now you know how to create an AI character that can traverse your environment using parkour and climbing actions. So now the question is, how can you integrate this parkour AI with other system of yours? So for example, you might have a combat system where the enemy chases the player and attacks, right? So how can you integrate the parkour AI with your combat system so that the enemy can chase the player by performing parkour and climbing actions and then attack the player when the enemy is close to the player? So let's take a look at how to do this by looking at an example. So here I have a basic combat AI script that'll chase the player, and when he's close to the player, he'll attack the player. Okay, it's a pretty basic script. So now how can we use our Parkour AI with a system like this so that while the Navish agent is chasing the player, he'll be able to perform parkour and climbing actions. So the thing is, you don't have to do anything else to achieve that. Since our parkour and climbing AI asset works by using the Navish agent, simply calling the Navish agent dot set destination function will make the agent perform parkour and climbing actions when required. Okay, so let's test this. So to the Parkour AI game object, I have attached the simple combat AI script for chasing the player and attacking him. So now in the AI controller, we don't want the follow type to be follow player because we are already following the player from this script, right? So we just have to change this to none, and the code for moving the Navish agent will be handled from the combat AI script. And now we can just run the game, and the AI should run towards player and attack him. And now if I try to go on top of this obstacle, you can see that the AI will perform a parkour action to get on top of the obstacle and then he'll attack us. Okay, this is not a good combat AI. It's just something simple that I built to show you how you can use other systems with the parkour AI asset. So we don't have to do anything else to make it work with parkour and climbing actions. But from our combat system, there are some cases that we need to handle. So right now, the enemy will be able to attack us while they are in the middle of a parkour or climbing action. Okay, so let me show you an example. So if I go stand on a small obstacle like this, the enemy is trying to attack us while the enemy is in the middle of a parkour action, right? So that's because in our combat AI, we're just checking the distance, right? So from here, we have to say that the attack should only be done if we're not in the middle of a parkour or a climbing action. Okay, so our Parkour AI script has a property with which we can check if we are in the middle of a parkour or climbing action. So the property is called controlled by parkour. So let me get a reference to the Parkour AI from the awake function. And now, before attacking, we can make sure that the agent is not in the middle of a parkour or climbing action by using the controlled by parkour property. Okay, and this should only attack if it's not controlled by parkour. So now that issue should be fixed. Let me try to test this again. And now you can see that the AI is not performing attacks in the middle of a parkour action. Okay, so while you're integrating the Parkour AI with other system of yours, this property will be really helpful to prevent edge cases like this. Okay, so yeah, this is how you integrate the Parkour AI asset with your other systems. Just change the follow type of the AI controller to none, and then handle the movement by using the built-in set destination function of the Navish agent. So I hope now you have a basic idea about how to use the Parkour and Climbing AI asset. If you have any questions about it, feel free to ask in our Discord server. Thanks a lot for watching the video.